Hello everybody, Shiting here, aka Abby. My YouTube channel has always been a hobby kind of thing where I post travel vlogs, mostly for my parents to know that I'm still alive albeit doing crazy things in another part of the world, and also for future me to look back and remember the stupid young days. I will still continue to do that, but it's kind of hard to edit videos when life is going on. So I'm taking my own sweet time. Currently, I'm still in Beijing, which I actually went in December last year. But anyway, that's not the point. I am now doing an MBA at AGSM UNSW in Sydney. And it's only been a month, but I've met the most amazing cohort. People from diverse backgrounds, country, culture, industries. And I kind of want to make the most out of this year, which is why I'm starting this new series. Not sure if it can be called a podcast. I guess it's something like that. And if you find yourself somewhat lost at a point in life, like me, I hope this series can help you in any way. I don't actually have a concrete plan or even a plan of what I want to do. So I'm just praying my coursemates will agree to this random idea I came up with at 11:58 p.m. on a Thursday night. FYI, we have 9 a.m. class tomorrow morning. So yeah, impromptu I guess, and I'll see how far this series can go. Hi everyone, welcome to the new series in my YouTube channel called How Did We End Up Here? Because honestly, I don't know how I ended up here. Not in the law library here, but in an MBA in Sydney. I don't really know how I ended up here, and I believe a lot of people feels the same. So today I have Bella with me. Bella is my MBA classmate. So can you introduce yourself?
Okay. Thanks, Abby, for the quick introduction. I'm Bella. I'm Abby's MBA classmate. When Abby first told me about this project she wanted to have for a YouTube channel, I thought it was very exciting, considering how our generation is very online nowadays, and a lot of people, like even us or even people a little older or younger than us, are always not in the point of their life where they're not sure what they want to do. So this is an opportunity for them to find out people who do have an experience if that's something that they do want to do. So yeah, I like this initiative and I'm happy to be partnering with Abby in this small project that she initiated.
And I'm wearing this AGS. I'm such an ambassador for my school. I hope they pay me. Just kidding. But yeah, so when I invited Bella, she suggested that the first episode of my series should be about me. But I don't really want to talk to myself with myself in the camera for like an hour. So I invited her to be my moderator.
Yeah.
I don't know what this is, but so basically we're gonna talk about like our jobs. So for your information, I worked in Singapore and Bella worked in Philippines, Manila, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's the context that we're gonna talk about. It might be really different from different countries as well.
Okay, I think I was able to say something about myself. Abby, why don't you give a bit of an introduction on yourself?
Okay, so if you have been following my YouTube channel, it has always been about traveling, and I never really talked about what I do for a living. I do work for a living, by the way. I was actually a quantity surveyor in Singapore. So if you don't know what a quantity surveyor is, which a lot of people don't, so basically I work in the construction industry. A quantity surveyor is in charge of the cost and the contract part of a project. In a construction project, there is usually the developer, which is the owner of the building. So let's say imagine this library, right? The owner wants to build the library. So they will engage a consultant team, including the architect, the engineer, and the engineer includes civil engineer, mechanical engineer, and electrical engineer, etc., etc. A lot of engineers, and also us, which is the quantity surveyor. So architects are in charge of the design, engineers are in charge of the building not collapsing, and then we quantity surveyors are in charge of the money and the contract. So that's the developer and the consultant, and then there's the contractor, who is the party who actually builds the building. So we consultants are consultants, so the agent of the developer. So we advise them all the things that they need before they engage a contractor in. Yeah, so that was my role. I was a consultant quantity surveyor, and I worked on some mega projects in Singapore.
Thanks, Abby. So actually that's interesting because I didn't know that there's someone in that part of the construction site. Like I thought it was just lawyers and developers and people who build and then people who want stuff to be built. So that's one part of the construction side, if anyone wants to be part of that. Before you became a quantity surveyor, was there anything in your undergrad that made you think that, hey, I kind of want to be a quantity surveyor, or something popped in your mind that I didn't know there was this thing. That's why I want to be this thing.
Okay, the thing is, my undergrad is actually like specialized in quantity surveyor. But let's talk about before that. So when I was in high school, my dream job was actually to become an actuarist, so like actuarial science. And I was thinking of going into that direction in uni as well. But well, it's a long story about Malaysia's schooling system. But I applied for a government uni. So in Malaysia, the government uni costs really, really little. Like, so it's really cheap. And if you get like a first class, you graduate with a first class honors, you can waive your loan. So it's basically free, but you have to get a first class honors test. Yeah. I applied for a government uni and you can put your choices. My first choice was actuarial science and quantity surveying was somewhere down there. The reason why quantity surveying is in my list is because my dad worked in construction and both my parents studied quantity surveying. So like they think that this profession is like a very good profession and like it makes a lot of money and stuff. But I feel like the generation is different now. So it doesn't really apply, but that's another story for another day. So anyway, I got the choice of quantity surveying instead of actuarial science. And back then I was debating if I want to go into a government uni or pay money to go to a private uni to do actuarial science. But in the end, well, that happened. So I went to the government uni. But it was also a good thing because COVID happened just one semester after I started my studies. So I just finished my studies and then went along to be a quantity surveyor because that's what I studied for. But I know all this time that I wasn't really passionate about buildings.
That was throughout studying.
Yeah. So actually before that, I didn't really know like what construction was, but I feel like it might be kind of interesting, you know, because I never exposed myself to this industry. So I just went on with studying it. But throughout the few years of studying and also a few years of working, I realized that if you want to be in construction, you have to be really passionate about it. Like you have to know a lot of things about construction. So even though I was not on the technical side, like I'm not an engineer, so I don't really know like how much load this floor can take or something like that. But as a quantity surveyor, I'm supposed to measure the floor, the layer, like this carpet and below it, how many layers. So I still need to know the technology of how construction works. So for whoever wants to work in construction, you have to like be passionate about it and take interest in it before you actually go in. It works the same for like any role in construction. After a few years of working, I realized that I don't really want to stay in construction forever, which is why I applied for an MBA and now I'm here, classmates with Bella. I don't know where the next journey might take me, but we'll see. It's a mystery. How did I end up here and where will I end up in the next few years?
That's the next series.
This is a segue to the next series.
I have a question. If you really wanted actuarial science, but then you got your choice of quantity surveyor, there was no point in your uni life where you were like, yeah, like let's say your second year, where I actually don't like this, maybe I'll shift actuarial science.
That's the thing, because of COVID. Yeah, so I started uni in 2019, September. And then after one semester, which is like December 2019, COVID happened. When I first started, like a few weeks, I was actually thinking like, okay, I'm going to give myself a chance to see if I enjoy this course. But the thing with first year is like you touch on the very, very basics. So it's like still easy, you know? So in the first year, I feel like, oh, this is actually quite interesting. Like maybe I can just go along with it. And also another reason was because like I had friends who were doing actuarial science in the same uni. And I don't think they're enjoying it as much as well. So I was like, maybe quantity surveying is also not bad as compared to actuarial science, because actuarial science is also like, I don't think I know the full picture of it before I was interested in it. It was just because like back then in high school, I was a nerd. I really liked maths. My mom worked in insurance and she says that, oh, actuarial science is not bad industry. Like you calculate the risk of like mostly working in insurance industry. Yeah. So I didn't really have like a thought to change my
course.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's interesting because oftentimes people are like, maybe for people our generation, they'd be like after 1 or 2 weeks, they're like, oh, I don't like this, and they'll switch right now. So it's interesting that you were like, oh, this is still easy. I want to go on until you finish the course and you're like, oh, and then you did the job and you're like, oh, this isn't something that I actually want to do.
But I actually think that I don't hate construction. Okay, it's like I worked for 3 years almost, and of course there are still some good things about it, and there are still things that I find interesting. But it's just I can't really imagine myself here for the next 30 years. So I just want to clarify if my previous boss was seeing this. I don't hate construction, but I just kind of want to try something else when I'm still young and see where I end up. Yeah.
So now that you are in your MBA, you may have met some different people from different stages of life, different roles. Have you found that there are some roles that you're interested in, some roles that you think you can draw your energy from or your passion in?
Oh, that's a really good question. So for your information, we have started this MBA for like 1 month plus now, and our career accelerator people are always telling us about how like you have to explore. There's the explore stage, and then design, and then something else. But I feel like a lot of us are still in the explore phase. So of course there are a lot of industries out there that seems interesting, but you really need to like get deep dive into it to get to know it and get to know the pros and cons in that industry, because no industry is perfect. It's just if it's suitable for you. Yeah, so I feel like I'm still in the explore phase where there's like very diverse people in our class and I'm talking to a lot of them. But I think for now, my direction is consulting. Still in consulting, but previously was like construction consulting. And now maybe like in the broader business world, strategy, or I'm interested in tech, like AI and stuff, but I don't have any coding or like whatever knowledge there. So in this year, I plan to work towards that direction and also find out if it's really for me and if I will enjoy being there.
Okay, I think what's nice is that you are very self-aware that I don't want to do, not that I don't want to do this, but I want to explore something else, and you have found like some road that you can pass, which is the AI consulting. And that's the good thing about being in this MBA. It's not just, learning what you don't know, like me, finance. It's also about talking to different people and being like, hey, that's a cool job. I didn't know that existed. So I kind of want to go there too. So now that you are here and then you've gone through uni and your previous work, what do you think, maybe if from each, stage of life that you have, what do you think could be the biggest lessons that anyone who is potentially going through the same crisis, maybe, could get from your journey so far?
What kind of advice would I give them? I would say.
Yeah. Like, if you could talk to yourself, like let's say it's 5 years from today, and you're talking to yourself, let's say in uni or now in MBA, what would you say?
I would say there's really no right or wrong path. It's just how much you make out of it. So even though I know that I didn't really like construction, but I feel like my few years of uni and my few years of working, I met a lot of incredible people, and I wouldn't have met them if I wasn't in this industry. Of course, I mean, you can say that if I went to another industry, I would also meet incredible people, but you never know, right? During uni, I met a lot of my course mates who are still really close friends with me now, and also during work. I think the best part of my work that kept me going for 3 years, even though I didn't really like construction, was the people. Because I had like amazing colleagues and my boss was really good, and also my clients. So usually as a consultant, a lot of people will hate their clients, but not me. So my clients were like really nice, and I'm not sure if it's because I was a fresh grad out of uni, so they treated me kind of like a kid. But they were like really looking after me, and whatever I don't know, they never blamed me. They just say like, okay, you have to check and get back to me by today or something. And in Singapore, I think that's not usually the case. So like I've heard a lot of my friends working in Singapore as well, like they had really harsh like clients or really tight deadlines and stuff. But I met really amazing people.
But I did like what you say that regardless of where you are in your life, if you don't necessarily have a passion for it, the people always make up for it. Let's say you don't particularly enjoy writing maths or something, but if you're surrounded by good people, then that makes it less not likable than how you do feel about it. So I think that's one lesson, that surround yourself with people, regardless of where you are in life, who make you feel a lot better even if you don't like what you do.
Yeah. But I think
That's
that's
what I
another lesson. I mean, not only the people,
Yeah.
but also I think what I learned in construction is not just the technical skills. Of course, there's also like soft skills, client management, stakeholder management, analytical thinking, how to like present data, and also I worked a lot with Excel in my previous job, like with the cost and everything. And also on the contract part, I think I was more exposed to law. Although it was like very niche in construction law, but a lot of the concepts actually apply to the broader world. So I think this knowledge that I learned can also be brought to wherever I'm going in the next stage of my life. So if you're stuck somewhere in life where you feel like, oh, I don't belong here, don't just give up on everything you're doing, because you will still get something out of it into your next phase.
That's nice. That's very nice, because there's this stigma that maybe people of our generation don't like it, leave. Don't like it, leave.
Yeah.
So I think what you're trying to say is don't like it. Try to that sounded so bad, but try to get what you can.
Yeah.
Get all the skills and all the learnings, and then use it again for the next way. Don't look at your past experiences as something negative. Think of it as something positive and how it made you better, and then use that next.
Yeah.
That's a good advice. That's very good advice, because it's so normal for people to be like, oh, I don't like this, and shift immediately after.
But relating to what you just said, like a lot of people from the older generation will think that, oh, you Gen Zs, like if you don't like anything, you just quit. You don't have like persistence or anything. But I think there's like two sides to this. Number one is, of course, we tried, right? Like we tried and we know we don't like it. So why do you still want to stay there if you know that you don't want to be there, right? So like give yourself a chance to go somewhere else and try something new when you're still young. Because if you're there complaining about it for the next 10 years, you will only get older and older and harder to leave wherever you are.
Correct.
And I think the second part would be like, I'm not sure if this applies to other Gen Zs, but I would say for myself that my environment, like my family, my parents, my sisters, they give me a lot of confidence to be myself. So like whatever I want to do, they never opposed to it, and they give me like advice and everything. So I have like the freedom to, I'm very blessed that I have the freedom to choose whatever I want to do and do whatever I want. As long as like you're not doing bad things, I think people around you will always support you.
Yeah, I think that links back to the people. So if I could summarize that, Abby, it's number one, surround yourself with good people, even if you don't necessarily like what you're doing. Number two is try it out, get all the skills you can, learn you can, and try to use that in your next job. But to the extent of, if you feel that it's really not working for you, know when it's time to quit. That's very nice. I think for me, I wish a lot of people did know a lot of people like our generation would know that it's okay to quit, but also make sure that whatever you did previously impacts how you will do your next role or next career or endeavor in life and all. So that you don't look at it in a negative way.
And also like, quitting is one word, but I see it more as like moving on to the next phase. And I wouldn't say I'm entirely quitting it, because like if one day I couldn't find a job anywhere else, I might still end up in construction. And I might find something else that I like, because like construction is not limited to quantity surveying, whatever I was doing. So I might move on to like project management or like something else, other roles, because like one construction building, there are like so many roles out there that you can explore. But back when I was a quantity surveyor, I know that like I didn't like it, not because of the role, but because of like construction itself. So that's why I want to try something else. But it's really hard to say. You never know until you try it. So what if I move on to the next role and I feel like, oh, actually construction is better, So I might move back in. So I don't think it's quitting, but it's just exploring more options so that you can find whatever you really enjoy.
Yeah, that's also nice. It's when you're saying like, just because you don't like it doesn't mean you will never go back to it, right? Like the privilege of trying that out and trying something else is understanding that, hey, actually the previous thing I did was actually a lot better. So I can go back to that anytime. So it's like in your career, what we learned is career is never linear. So it can always be you go to right and then suddenly you go left and then suddenly you go right again or you go somewhere. So career is never linear. You're free to go back to what you want to go and go where you want to go, even if it's completely different. Okay, we've been talking so much about work, Abby. I want to know a little bit about you as well. So, what are some hobbies or passions you have that isn't maybe work related?
Okay, I think the biggest one would be badminton.
Okay.
So when I was working 3 years in Singapore, it was really entirely about work. But the only thing outside of work that I did is actually going to weekly badminton sessions. I'm not really good at it that I can represent the state or something, but it's just playing for fun. And also, I think I met a lot of different people as well by playing badminton, both in Malaysia and in Singapore. Also, by the way, I'm from Malaysia, but I work in Singapore, so that's another story. And usually, I don't really like doing any other sports, but badminton makes me feel like really happy, and I don't feel like I'm doing sports, if that makes sense. Like, because if you make me go and run, I can run for like maybe 200 meters and I'll stop because I don't have stamina. But apparently, when I'm playing badminton, I can play for like 3-4 hours and I don't feel tired. Like, of course, there are breaks in between the 3-4 hours. I'm not crazy, but I really enjoyed it, and also met a lot of amazing people. Because back in Singapore, it was really all about work. And if I didn't go play badminton, I would never have made friends in Singapore. Because when I first went, I didn't really know a lot of people there. So badminton was where I found like, friends outside of work. And even here, now that I moved to Sydney, the dorm that I stays in, they have like some subsidized badminton sessions. So I have been playing as well. It's not the best here because I didn't bring any equipment, my good shoes, my good racket and stuff. But they do loan it. It's better than nothing.
Yeah.
And recently, I started going to the gym, which if you told me 2 years ago, I would never believe you. But yeah, because my dorm is right opposite the UNSW gym. So I signed a membership for 3 months. And I've been forcing myself to go because it's expensive and I paid for it. So that's one of the motivation I gave myself. And I think another hobby would be video editing, which is what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
So usually when I travel, I will film vlogs and then I will edit them later. And usually it's when I have time, which explains why the vlogs are coming out like a few months or a few years after I went to that place. But yeah, those are my hobbies that I enjoy and spend time in.
Yeah. Do you feel that because your previous work was like work, that it's so important to have hobbies in this?
Yeah, definitely. Because I think if you're just all work, I realized that time flies really quickly because every day you go to work and then I work overtime until the night and I go home and then you sleep for barely even 8 hours, not even 6 sometimes. And then the next day you wake up, it's the same cycle, back and forth. And then on the weekends, you're so tired that you just don't feel like doing anything. You just sleep in for 2 days and then on Monday, it's the same thing. So I think if you don't have any hobbies outside of work, life would really be dull. Like you will have no colors in your life and you will hate whatever you're doing even more.
Yeah.
Even if in the beginning you actually like this job, but every day you're just going to work, eventually you will get bored of it. Yeah. So it's really important to have hobbies and meet friends as well. Even though I'm an introvert, but close friends.
Okay, that's nice to hear. Yeah, I think it's so important to have that line between work and outside of work because it makes you not go crazy. I think, like what you're saying. So I think now that you've told us about your journey and who you are outside of work, what would you say is like doesn't even have to be work related? It can be something within badminton and anything. What do you think would be your biggest achievement thus far in your life?
There's actually a lot. And
one big one.
Okay, I'm not sure if this is an achievement, but it's something I'm happy and proud of. I'm only 26 now, and I've been to 28 countries in the world. Not because I'm rich. If you watch my travel vlogs, you will know that I'm really frugal when it comes to money. Even my mom says that I'm always emphasizing on money in my travel vlogs. But it was because like I had a lot of opportunities, especially like when I was doing an exchange in Europe. Because like traveling in Europe is so easy. You have like Ryanair, you have Flixbus, and just few dollars can take you like very far away. And also they have like youth hostels and stuff, so it's like really cheap. So traveling to another country is actually not that expensive from there. So yeah, I think my biggest achievement is I've been to 28 countries and target to make it 30 before I turn 30.
Oh, 1 year different country.
Yeah, but it depends on what I'm doing after my MBA and like if I have time to go travel. But yeah, we'll see. I have 3-4 more years.
One of that could be Philippines.
Yeah, I've never been to the Philippines.
And I have a room for you to stay in.
Okay, that's my 29th country.
See you soon. Thank you, by the way, for sharing that, Abby. I think it's a big feat to not only celebrate your achievements that you've done that give you merit, like certificates, etc. It's also nice to be proud of something that not a lot of people get to do in life, which is to be able to travel the world and see the world. Not that it's not just coming from a privileged point of view, but it's because you just want to experience different cultures, meet different people. So now I want to close this with saying, now that we're in our MBA, right? There's a lot of people, I assume, our age would think about, should I do an MBA? Should I study? Should I stay in work? So number one is, how did you end up here and how are you enjoying it so far? What have you done already?
Good ending. How did we end up here? Okay, so I think if you told me in 2024 that 2 years later you will be in Sydney doing an MBA, I probably wouldn't believe you because I don't have the confidence that I'll make it. Back then, my knowledge of MBA is for people who has a few years of working experience and they want to like move on to the next phase in their life, either move on to a higher role in their same industry or if they want to pivot industries. So I've always had this thought of I might do an MBA someday, but I never actually expected it to be so fast. So last year I went to Melbourne to visit my friend, and I really liked Australia because people here are so nice and like the lifestyle here is so chill. You know, I went to the beach in Melbourne and I look at all the dogs and the kids and I feel like, being a dog in Australia is happier. They have a better life than us. But just kidding. Before going to Melbourne, I already had the thought of like, should I do an MBA and where do I want to do it? But I never really took action. It has always just been a thought. But after going to Melbourne, I feel like, I really like Australia and maybe I could explore something different there. So last year, I tried to apply for UNSW and also I wanted to try for Melbourne Uni as well. But there's a long story to this as well. So basically, UNSW AGSM's timeline is a bit earlier. So we started our MBA in May. And I think Melbourne Business School, they start in September. So AGSM's application was earlier. So I tried that first. And the application for MBA was so long, you know. So you have to like write a few personal statements, and then you had to get like 2 recommendations from work-related people. And then third, I also had to take an exam, so GMAT, Graduate Management Admission Test. I think Bella took a GRE.
I took a GRE.
What does GRE stand for?
Graduate Record Examination.
Yeah, so basically, Google it. So basically, you have to have one of these 2 exams score, unless you're exempted for Google it again.
Yeah.
So there's like a long process to this application, which at one point I felt kind of tired because like I was working full time and like you had to prepare for all these things. It's really not easy. And I actually took the GMAT twice because I was not happy with my scores for the first time. So the preparation was a long journey, and I believe that people who end up here, they went through a lot and they actually deserve to be here because like you went through all the application process and it's like you should be proud of yourself. Yes. So anyway, I went through the application and I submitted it, and I actually didn't really have confidence in myself because I went to Google and it says that a typical MBA average working experience is 8 years. And I was like, I barely had 2 years back then. So you know what, just try. So I submitted the application and they offered me an interview. And I felt good in that interview. Like they really made me feel like, my achievements were like really something I should be proud of, and it's really the right time for me to do an MBA. So I felt confident after the interview because of talking to them, and it felt okay. And then I actually got an offer, and I was like shocked when that happened because I was like, will I be the youngest person in the class? I was kind of stressed about it because I literally only have like 3 years of working experience. But after getting that offer, then I didn't apply for MBS anymore. Sorry, Melbourne. But yeah, so also because AGSM's MBA is only 1 year and Melbourne's is like 2 years, so I prefer to do like an intensive course so that I can graduate earlier and move on with my life earlier. And how have I been enjoying MBA so far? I think very. Yeah, so I met different people from different industries, different backgrounds, different countries, different everything. And on my first day of orientation, honestly, I was really stressed because everyone was like introducing themselves and they were talking about how like they had 3 industries and I had 3 years in the same industry. But people are really nice. Like they don't judge me because I'm like a kid, but they really like respect each other. And our cohort is like really, what do you call it? Chummy? Yeah, so our cohort is really chummy. So like they do everything together. We go to the coastal walks, we go to trivia nights, we go to the pub, everything. So yeah, like 1 month in, I think I'm enjoying it so far.
Yeah, that's good because when I was applying, I didn't know that. I thought that you genuinely needed 8 years of experience. So it's really refreshing to hear that someone like you, or even we have someone else in our cohort who even had just 2 years of experience, that you can actually do your MBA if you've only had that little experience. And it's really nice to hear it coming from someone who was able to do that, right? Because I thought it was
honestly, I think like those are just one guideline. Like of course in your GMAT you have to target for a high score and stuff. But I think it all comes down to your interview. So during your interview, they will ask things like, oh, what have you done in your previous job and what are your achievements? So I feel like even though I only had 2 years back then, but I accomplished a lot of things in those 2 years. Maybe as compared to people who have worked for 10 years and they have been doing the same thing every day, they don't have any achievements. So I think the years of experience is just a number, and it really depends on your view of why you want to do an MBA and your why, your what, and
tell your story.
Yeah, exactly.
And I like that because it links back to what you said a while ago, how wherever you are, if you don't like it or like it, always take what you can from that, your achievements, even big or small. So that's why I really like what you said there. Now, what you discussed was our ambassador. You discussed some things that are fun about the MBA. What would you say is a bit of a challenge? It can be not even academics. It can be like time management or finding yourself. Even what do you think would be your biggest challenge?
Oh, I think you already talked about my challenge, like 2 of them: time management and finding myself. Okay. Yeah. So I think I'm here at the MBA to learn, of course. So I already expected that it's going to be challenging. And the courses that we are taking this term are for strategy, managing people, marketing, and accounting and finance. So these are all the areas that I kind of know what it is, but I never really deep dive into it. So I think it's really interesting that we are doing all 4 subjects in this term. But of course, what you mentioned, time management, because each of these subjects, they have like a 3-hour class every week. And then we also have like a lot of readings outside of class. And if you don't do the readings and go into class, you will really not know like what the professor is talking about. And also you wouldn't be able to participate in the group discussions because they expected you to come prepared with the information that you're going to use in class today. So I think time management. But I do find time management easier than at work because, well, you have 4 subjects and you know what you need to do for each subject. And here, because I don't have any other friends and family outside of my cohort mates, so I don't really spend time with other people a lot. So I think I have a lot of time to myself to do whatever I need to do. And also I can still go for walks, go to the gym, go play badminton. So I think time management, as long as you manage it well. And it's like, and I'm able to cook every day because eating out is so expensive. So, the second one is, of course, really finding myself. I kind of use this year to actually discover like all the different paths, as I mentioned just now. And so by the end of the year, I hope I know what I want to do. But honestly, you will never really be sure. I think, you will never really understand how I ended up here and how and where I'm going in the next phase. But you can only make your decision based on what you are thinking at that point in life. And I think also like because we have really diverse age group in our cohort as well. So I think when you're in your 20s and you're in your 30s and you're in your 40s, 50s, your thought process will be really different.
Yeah.
So I think right now I'm 26 and this is what I think, this is what I want to do in my life.
Right.
But maybe like 5 years later, 10 years later, it will be different. Okay, so I think we discussed a lot today, and thank you, Bella, for being my moderator. Or else I will be saying all that myself for like half an hour, and you'll probably get bored of me. So yeah, in the next episode, we'll be talking about Bella. So stay tuned.